half with a strong advantage, and here we are.
Here we go, Nepal to kick off this European final between British Hurricane and Team Gigantti, the OWL-backed academy team, and of course the defending champions. All to play for these two teams and cement themselves as the kings of European Overwatch.
And what a show it's going to be as well. We see a lot of Reaper going on this map especially on the point itself where it's incredibly scrappy, but you can hear the hype. It's not just the players, it's the fans as well, it's the crowd, it's us here behind the scenes as well, Tridd. Everyone is super excited for this.
As we're counting down the preparation to attack, it's not going to be clear what these teams are running, but if it's anything like their European counterparts or just Europe as a whole on the Pals, particularly Shrine, we could see some triple tanks. But until they leave that spawn room, nothing is to be taken for granted.
And it's quite funny because we often speak about Europe being this very tank-heavy region, but actually these two teams in their last series played dive more often than they played tank. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of changes coming between the teams as they try and figure each other out.
British Hurricane running with the Sombracer composition, while Team Gigantti, they're going straight to the wall with that quad tank.
In fact, it's triple DPS coming through. Happy Cool showing us that flax once again. Now, the problem is here is they are going to struggle to move this quad tank composition off of the point unless they manage to get one of the picks down. And generally, we speak a lot about Sombracer as being the answer to quad tanking, that you can flank them, you can get these shields looking the wrong way, and then you capitalize. And so far, they're going for the big push here.
Driving onto the back line using Funny Astro to amp it up, and Craggy's already took out Masa. They've not got control of the point just yet. It's Gigantti with that quad tank who are in control. And here's the counter-attack with the Coalescence, burning through everyone, keeping his team topped up. And it doesn't look like British Hurricane are going to be able to take this first cap.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's what happens when you poke down a tank comp like this so much, is as much as we like to say for the attacking side, you get a lot of ult charge. Let's not forget, there is a Moira sat in the back who also gets an absolute shed ton off the fact that she heals everyone so consistently. So having that Coalescence online was big for them in that fight. It meant there was no possibility for Hurricane to drop one of the members, and Gigantti start strong. This is a very, very different story to the last time they played.
Well, here we go. Fusion's diving into the fight. Kib, he's popped out the blade, already cut through LH Cloudy with that Discord Orb. Only going to be the one kill for now, but he's putting a blade on to RCK. The fight contained off to the side of the point. They're still contesting it on there, but Kib can't burn through that personal barrier, and he's already been shut down by Davin on that Zarya. The self-destruct on the outside, personal barrier to keep everyone alive. They're only keeping on to this point. They managed the retake while the fight was going on, but Team Gigantti, they're the ones in control. Nil just needs that hook onto the hippity-hoppity frog. He won't need any hook because he can just get the headshot out in the way. The Coalescence burning through Winston. He's going to go down. Fusion's the last one to fall, and a retake for Team Gigantti.
Hurricane really should have run away a long time ago because they're at risk of being staggered here as well. It was a good 30 seconds ago when the first member died for them, but they are still in control of the point. They want to hold on for as long as they can. And at 40%, Gigantti start getting the tick back over once again. This is a very stark difference to what we saw in the NA region yesterday. They love their Genji players, but as you saw a second ago, Kib, he had no way in. First he tries to go on the Lucio, gets booped straight back away. Then he goes onto the Moira. There's a Zarya shield waiting for him. The opportunity for a Genji to really pop off like we see so commonly in other regions just does not happen here.
Happy's got the EMP. There was the Graviton Surge to line something up, but it wasn't working out for them. He's going to recall away, but RCK, Cloudy, they're leading the charge with the kills. Transcendence being popped on the point to keep everyone alive. There's a Dragon Blade from Kib. He's going for the back line, but they're too far away. Has to retreat back onto the point with 12 HP, and it just keeps going down. RCK, he's feeling bloodthirsty. He'll get another kill and keep this in Team Gigantti's favor.
ZP is probably sat somewhere now with his head in his hands like, quad tank, no, why does it work so well? And you can see why. Gotta say there though, it was a little bit of a missed time on the EMP because Masar was the other side of the pillar, and he still managed to get that sound barrier down to keep his team alive whilst the EMP was in effect.
88%, it's nearly in that final fight material for Team Gigantti. We're on board with Craggy, just trying to poke down his enemies with this Tracer, but when it's such a beefy lineup, it's not going to be a quick in and out. Earthshatter being used to take out the backline. Bucket, Fusions, they're the first victims. Deep charge into the wall. No one to be found. The hack is huge from Happy Cool. Will it be enough for British Hurricane to turn it around? But they're all faltering as Team Gigantti very much remaining in the dominant position. They're going to take Shrine and force it out to another round.
That is not what we expected coming into today. That's probably one way of putting it. I expected Hurricane to probably try and match them with these tanks, but you can hear the response in the crowd. Gigantti, last season's champions, they're looking to make this the second one for these guys. And while Hurricane, they're going to be looking at this and going, right, we planned for this. We had our triple DPS set up. We're using that flexibility of Hafikul, and it didn't work out for us. My big question now is if they pull him out on the Soldier once again, is it going to work?
We know that the triple DPS on Sanctum works for Hurricane. I think that's the first time they brought it out consistently for the entire round on Shrine. Let's put aside the experimentals for now, shall we say. Let's see if they can pull it through on Sanctum and show us why their triple DPS works in Europe.
Kip's going across to the Sombra though, so actually a total rotation once again, and sometimes we see Kip picking up the Soldier, but clearly they're saying, Happy, it's your time to shine, my man, and Gigantti are going to try and match it. Admittedly only double DPS, but they've got nil on the Soldier.
Gigantti taking the fight to them, do not want to let them get set up. And it's all about the counter-attack, the slow war of attrition for that territory the British Hurricane want to get themselves a hold of. You see Neil and the Soldier getting taken out by Funny Astro with the long-range sound beats. And RCK retreating back to the point, they're going to rotate around. British Hurricane has control of the kill feed, so they will have control of this first point.
That's very reminiscent of the last time they played Sanctum, because last time round Nil actually got poked straight away by the Helix rockets out of the enemy Soldier and died incredibly quickly. And that's what lost in the fight last time round. This time, it's the Lucio getting up on the kill feed and bringing him down. Gigantti, this is where I start to worry, is can they make this non-quad tank-based composition work? Can they surpass Hurricane in their own composition?
Well, Nil's being the better soldier at the moment with the Helix rocket kills, but it's Bocket and Craggy returning the favor. Just need to get a couple more shots. He finds him with Craggy and the Helix rocket. Gonna get some attention from Fusions, diving into the back line. The Tesla cannon's not enough. He's been moved off the edge. Funny Astro, the aggro Lucio going behind him, booping him off the edge. British Hurricane sitting at about 35%.
I'm so glad you mentioned Astro's aggressive Lucio there, because they of course have two Lucio players. They have Crusade and they have Funny Astro, and Astro is regarded as this big aggressive Lucio player. He likes to get up in their faces, which is why he's so good for control and why they also play him on Hollywood. And in this case there you can see why. Getting behind the enemy DPS, being unseen and still bringing them down, that's the big plays you want to see out of your Lucios.
Primal Rage being popped by Fusion's gonna leave back. Craggy gets the D-Mech onto RCK and one board with Nil. He's got an attack visor. He just needs to pull the go button when he finds the right opportunity. And Funny Astro can't even dodge it around. That's an EMP coming out to lock them all down. No ultimate available. They're gonna ride the lightning as they're pushed back into their spawn. 68%. It's gonna keep rolling up for British Hurricane. Team Gigantti cannot get a foothold on Sanctum.
It's so bizarre how the first round and the second round have been so different so far. Neither team really showing the weaknesses that they're going to get rolled over in this series. And we always said early on, Tridd, we've been saying all day long before this broadcast, the first map will dictate the tone of this series, and this is setting it so perfectly.
Diving into that spawn forward operating base they have, Nil getting the first kill of the fight, moving back round onto Craggy, but he's recalling away, he's dashing away. Attack visor being popped, answered immediately by Nil, but they're sitting in a Transcendence. He doesn't have that level of reinforcements on his Soldier. But meanwhile, while this is going on, they've got RCK on the point. Reinforcements, Team Gigantti take the point with the pressure from Nil, forced them too far away.
It took them all the way up to 99% of Hurricane's capture to actually take it back for themselves, but now comes that big war of attrition. Hurricane have got to wrestle this point away, and they don't have the staying power on the point with this triple DPS setup. They'll probably ride for a big EMP from Kip. It's not too far away, about 40% to go, and then they'll go for the full take and close this round out.
Well, let's see if Dez can be a prophet in this matchup as they're moving around to the sides. Craggy already dashed behind Nil. He doesn't care. Sound barrier reinforcing them as they get dived upon. But Bocket gonna go down. Craggy's on the back line. Ripper feeling the burn. Funny Astro dancing around on Lucio. Hacked out of the sky. RCK's been grounded and D-Mech'd immediately afterwards. Look at the DPS doing work on that exposed Diva, but they're on the point, and that's what counts. Turning it around at 90%. It looks like Craggy and the rest of British Hurricane, they're going to take this round and force out the third map.
Potentially, they're still going to go for another couple of fights first, and that big hack coming through from Kip onto the Diva denied the self-destruct. They did not have the staying power required, and it looks like we'll be theirs. You're absolutely right. We're going to Village. This is going to be a big one, Tridd, because last time it was triple tank Junkrat for both teams, and Hurricane won by a narrow margin. That's just how close this is going to be. What can we say? This series is already shaping up to be what we expected.
We definitely did not want to see any 2-0s, especially in the first map, and hopefully this back and forth maintains. We go to distance and go to Game 7, because it's the only way this series can be given justice.
And already the lineup's coming through. Actually, this time round, one of them opting to go towards quad tank, and we saw them run it first time round. Nil going with that Roadhog, and we speak a lot about the Roadhog players that we have. In fact, they're going to change over to the Junkrat, talking about hovers. It's always a beautiful curse, my friend. Let's see if Nil can make this work. Yesterday, it had its highs and lows when he was playing Junkrat. He's got to hit those highest highs today.
Well, taking the high ground conflict with that Junkrat behind him, they're going to be clashing. Nil Kib, who's going to win out on the explosive battle as they're still colliding in the middle. LH Cloudy opens it up with a kill onto his opposing man. The Flame Strike removing fusions from the fight as Nil and Team Gigantti use that edge to go forward, but Kib has answered onto Masa. They're rotating around. They don't want to let them have another avenue into the fight. Team Gigantti looking very strong at the moment, and they could go for that first cap, but they need to make sure they send British Hurricane home first.
That's absolutely the plan. They don't want to back away here and split their team and give Hurricane the high ground advantage. It's so sought after by any team, and Kib brings out the tire, catches no one, but Nil goes down.
They've given over the high ground, but they're the ones on the point. Nearly got the full cap. It's being contested by Fusions. Nice shield management there, just blocking the damage from Davin, and they force Team Gigantti out. The Graviton Surge holding them together. They're letting Fusions swing as Craggy cuts through two members, and Bocket getting involved as well. British Hurricane, they turn the fight around and knock Team Gigantti off of that first cap.
As soon as Nil went down for Hurricane, that was the go trigger. That was the sign they were looking for to say, this is our fight to take. There is no tire online. They don't have the damage to bring down our frontline shields. Let's make it happen, and make it happen they did.
Holding that high ground position on top of the bridge. They're not sure where Team Gigantti are going to come from. They're opting for the lower ground, and immediately they put the aggression to them. There's a Rip Tire being thrown out. It's Nil. He's going to take out Fusions, missing a core component of their tank. Graviton Surge from Team Gigantti. Sound barriers answered, but Coalescence shredding through them. It doesn't matter. Nil's there with the explosive damage and cuts through those trap targets, and now they take to the high ground. Want to pick off the stragglers, preferably get a stagger. Self-destruct being thrown out, but it's a bit of a Hail Mary. Funny Astro dancing around somewhere. He's still hippity-hopping around. Gets in the interior. Fusions is here with some reinforcements. He's just going to be shredded, though. There's nothing he can do by himself. Team Gigantti get the cap, but Kib answers with a double kill. British Hurricane, they might get an immediate retake here. RCK, he's been isolated. The tables have turned. He's got some reinforcements from Davin. British Hurricane back on the point, and they get the cap immediately afterwards, not letting Team Gigantti get any ground.
That was one of the quickest recaps I think I've ever seen on the control map there. Losing the fight, giving it over to Gigantti, and then Kib getting that double kill on the Junkrat. That set them up to take the point back. And look at the ult stack online for British Hurricane here. They've got one of those big Fable combos we always speak about with these triple and quad tank compositions. This could be their time to clear it out and take away the first map.
Fantastic Earth Shatter could shut it down. Happy Cool leading the charge with the micro missiles. Fusion sitting on one of his own. Just needs to break through that shield. He's going forward, holding down a W key with no tank to shield them. He can Earth Shatter if he wants to, but he doesn't even need to. Davin feeling the swing of the hammer. We've just about to hit 80%. And Team Gigantti, they're so far away, but they are not out of this fight.
This is the first time between these two teams we will see a big critical mass. All got 5-6 ultimates online almost. This is going to be the deciding moment for Gigantti because Hurricane's strength currently has always been they deal with ult stacks very well. They've got to deal with this one coming out of Gigantti.
Riptire's being traded, sound barrier being dropped on Team Gigantti. It's going to stagnate out, wait for the shield to expire. Doesn't get the kill, but there's one going on to Funny Astro, so Nil has that man advantage for Team Gigantti. The collision on the point, Graviton Surge pulling Gigantti together. Self-destruct being planted behind them. There's some shields, there's some charges. Cool taking out Davin. He goes down. Self-destruct, another on there. Kib throws out the explosives, but it's being traded back and forth. The ones on the point. This Team Gigantti, they have to remain there for the overtime. Throwing out the concussive mine. British Hurricane, they've got the kills, they've got the percentage, and it looks like they're going to take Nepal.
We spoke about the tone of the crowd, the tone of the teams, the tone of this whole series, and it has been set very, very well in that first map. Nepal, won't lie, we came into this and we said if anyone's going to win Nepal, it's probably going to be Hurricane, but Gigantti definitely showed that they aren't here to roll over and die. They want to contend and take away the second season title.
Took the fight to him on round one. Also, going into Sanctum, that was a little bit closer, but still not there. And then we saw it start to lag a little bit when we came to Village because British Hurricane just had a demanding control over that point. So with Nepal in the bag, it's going to be Team Gigantti's choice going up next. And really, I don't know what we're going to pull out because last time they went on Numbani, I believe, and it didn't work out the best for them. We're going to find that out very shortly, but first of all, we're going to go to a break. Welcome back to the Overwatch Contenders Europe playoffs here from Alvernia Planet in Poland. And it's Team Gigantti versus British Hurricane. And it's British Hurricane leading the series 1-0 after taking the pop.
At least this time, it was a bit more balanced between the two sides, because last time round it was a 2-0 clean sweep for Hurricane. At least this time round, Gigantti has shown us that they have it in them to take maps away from Hurricane. Now we're going to Numbani, and let's not forget, this was a very interesting setup last time round. British Hurricane, almost exclusively for the whole round, ran Kib on Soldier and Bok on Ana. And we speak all the time about his Ana. Legday mentioned it on the desk. He's a doctor, it's his go-to, and he plays a very, very clean Ana.
Well, actually, when we spoke to British Hurricane, we asked them, who's your most feared player? If you had to step out the shoes of British Hurricane, who would you say the people you're going to be most afraid of? And they said Bok. They said Bok's Ana is really terrifying. There's very few maps we've seen him play it on. Numbani is one of them. So is that going to be a concern for Team Gigantti coming into it, knowing that if they play those tanky compositions, the Biotic Grenade is there to shut down all healing and shut down that composition? That's
exactly it. And we speak a lot about the flexibility of Hurricane, about how they can adapt to deal with teams. Having that Biotic Grenade is one of the big ones for shutting down Quad Tank, because you have a Moira stuck behind you healing you all up. If she can't heal you, you fall incredibly quickly. There is a way to burn through Quad Tank, and if anyone can do it, it's Hurricane.
Well, Numbani is the next map, 1-0, being led by British Hurricane. We're going to jump into that right now. And it's going to be British Hurricane, Team Gigantti. And the performances from last map, who was you going to say like your MVP was, shall you say? Who was just a standout player? It can be from either team, Des.
I actually quite like seeing that Nil was stepping up, because I've had some question marks over Nil a few times in the past. Again, that he has these high highs, but sometimes has the low lows where you don't really notice him. And to be honest with you, you need both of your DPS online in a meta like this, especially when tanks are so prevalent. You need your Junkrat firing on all cylinders. And in that last map, he definitely showed up. The Soldier on Sanctum was also very, very good for him. Unfortunately, Hurricane just had a pretty nice answer to it.
Well, Team Gigantti are going to be on defense first, so looks like they're running a pretty standard 2-2-2 at the moment. Nil on that Junkrat, and Davin is being unleashed on his LAN Tracer.
Absolutely, it's about time we see it, but to be honest with you, Tracer, we speak about these two, Craggy and Davin, a whole lot. In fact, yesterday we were sat in the crowd, we heard a lot of Craggy shouts as they walked past, and we were like, well, we know exactly where the fans for him are today. They're here in the arena with us. Thing is though, Davin, he rarely dies, but he's a lot quieter than Craggy, I think. Craggy really pops off, he dies more often from what I can see, but to be honest with you, when you're in the backline getting kills, you don't mind going down if you're bringing down such a big duo such as Ripper and Massar.
And of course, one thing to note about British Hurricane, because it is not Hollywood or a control map, Crusade has subbed in. He's going to be here ready to play on Numbani. And of course, we said him and Bocket, they're incredibly strong as a support duo, but it's Ripper and Masa who seem to get all of that praise.
They absolutely do, and Hurricane ran this comp essentially the whole of last time. In fact, they're changing it up ever so slightly. They started off with Kib on the Widowmaker and then switched it out to go for the full quad tank push for the remainder of the map. But here, they're opting to go with Kib on that Genji. They probably want him for that high ground pressure. Crusade nearly getting picked off immediately there by Ripper.
Problem with Europe, we haven't seen very strong Genjis. There was a stark contrast between North America and Europe, but we're going to see how it works out with the high ground being dived onto. Like Cloudy, Davin, they're going to be shutting this down immediately, falling onto the point, retreating back into the street to buy themselves more time, protect their backline, and Nil moving back on with that Junkrat. You can see a hook, they're pulling RCK to them. Kib's going to be the one to get the D-Mech. RCK with the Battle Blaster takes out Fusions. British Hurricane going to try for a reset here and go again.
Gigantti just looking to play full counter dive here as well. We speak a lot about full dive with the Winston, the D.Va, the Tracer, and the Genji. They're opting instead to just dive when they see Hurricane go onto one of their targets and respond immediately. So although it feels kind of weird that you don't have any big shields protecting the Junkrat, he can look after himself. He's very anti-dive in nature with the concussion mines, with the traps, and of course when you've got a whole team backing you up as well as the rest from a Mercy, it's quite hard to displace it.
British Hurricane changing it up, diving onto an alternative ledge. Riptide coming out from Nil. He's going to chase him down, but it's Crusade who gets run over. Kib still dancing around the outside, not got that Dragon Blade yet, getting in the face of Mercy. There's a Discord up to help him out, but it's not enough to get the kill as Cracky on that Roadhog takes out Master, so he succeeded, unfortunately, where we saw Kib fail.
Unfortunately, yeah, and I've got to say as well, Cloudy on the Winston, we speak about him quite a lot, and Reinhardt has always been one of his big go-tos. They played it last time round. Here, they're opting to go with the Winston for that counter dive almost exclusively, and it's giving a little bit more breathing room to Hurricane, as you can see as they dive into Alleyway.
Kib using that blade, not so successful. Ripper getting a kill onto Fusions. The whole hog from Cracky there to push them away. A double kill from Nil with a Riptire as Kib dashes through him when he was stationary. But Team Gigantti still having control of this point.
Still got control, but burning 3 ultimates to make this one work for them. So if they can rotate it round with RCK's ultimate, oh, he gets the double!
Happy has the double. It's usually RCK we praise for those, but that might be the clincher for British Hurricane as he now dives into the fight. Trying to find a kill. He's been popped out of his mech. There's a self-destruct going somewhere, but no one's going to get it. And with British Hurricane, they get control of the point, and they're going to move it in to this escort section of the map.
No Grav Surge assistance required there. Happy cool, getting the double kill onto both the Mercy and the Junkrat. That was one of the big win conditions for Gigantti. Having that res on side, having the damage boost onto the Junkrat was how they kept Hurricane at bay. And once they disappear, well, there's not much more to be said for that one. They will lose the point, and Nil switches over to the Soldier in response.
We saw some clever switches coming out on the offense yesterday, mainly Angry Titans running that Torbjorn with the Orisa. I don't think British Hurricane want to go that experimental, but you can see Craggy's gone for that Tracer, so they're running a little bit more of a conventional dive.
Absolutely, full dive coming through for them, which is a total stark contrast to what we saw from them last time, which was the quad tank. However, they opted to try and use Craggy's expertise, use Kib's Genji, which currently is playing very well. However, they'll get transed out here.
Just whipping the blade into a Transcendence. No work to be done there from Kib. Gonna have to fall back. Transcendence now being used by Bocket to lead this fight through. But it's Davin and RCK, they're getting the kills. Nil, unfortunately, he jumps off the edge or kills himself with the rocket. The fight's still happening on this corner. D-Mech for RCK. The lightning from Fusions to chain him down, but it's LH Cloudy sitting on this point behind British Hurricane, stopping the payload from being moved in progress. Isolated Zenyatta, and Bocket turns it around with the kill onto the Winston.
Not just the Annie you got to fear from this guy, turns out it's the Zenyatta as well, and we speak, like you say, so often about Gigantti supports, how they're such a fantastic duo, but equally, Hurricane, you cannot write any of these guys off. We spoke about the Ana, the Zen clearly is just as scary, and I don't really fancy being either of the tanks in this match, Tridd.
Yeah, Discord orbs being hit, biotic grenades being hit all over the place, and look at the ultimates for Team Gigantti for this defense. Craggy on the high ground, just trying to pepper away at them, maybe isolate the supports. There's a lot of backline pressure being put on, but that's a Juggernaut Soldier. He's got attack visor on the go as well, burning through the enemy lineup with British Hurricane sitting in a Transcendence now as the self-destruct would deter them from aggressing any further. And that's a one angry monkey jumping into the fight. Blade from Kib, takes out Ripper, takes out Nil. Where were these blades earlier? But it's magical for Kib and British Hurricane as they're going to push this on to the final phase of the map.
It's the first time I'll ever call out a big mistake from Ripper there. The Transcendence was so early, and I think he popped it in response to Nil being aggressed on, but by the time he actually got there was no more aggressors in sight for Nil. They were all fighting at the other end of the fight. So whether it was a bit of a panic, a little bit of nerves, as we often speak about in a LAN environment, Ripper there with a bit of a mistake which cost his team the fight, and Kib was more than happy to take the opportunity with that blaze.
Aggressive positioning being held by British Hurricane. They want the interior to collapse onto the support, split them away, and Happy Cool and Craggy doing just that. They will not let Nil get set up anywhere as they're escorting this payload further and further towards that victory. It's Davin. He's going to go down onto that backline. Craggy taking an interior route, trying to find someone to pick off. He's sneaking up behind RCK here. He knows he's there. Gets some free old charge. Going to recall back out to Mega. And they're keeping them all in one place. Some explosive ultimate from the side of British Hurricane could fix this, but it's Bocket with the Orbs of Destruction to take out Nil. They got the sound barrier reinforcing them. See them go up, they come straight back down. British Hurricane, they're rolling over Team Gigantti. A Transcendence is keeping them from where they want to be. The blade will help cut down through that last bit of resistance from Team Gigantti. British Hurricane complete Numbani.
Gotta start asking questions about the DPS from Gigantti in this round. Davin, we speak about his Tracer all the time, but you barely ever saw him in the kill feed in that round. It was all Craggy getting in the backline, getting the kills that the team needed. And equally, well, we saw Kib pop off on the Genji big time. And as much as I hate to say it, I think in this case they need to go back to what they know works. They've had these tank-based compositions work so well for them in the past. Stick Davin back on Nazaria, because when he has such an influential ultimate online, that's when magic starts happening for this team.
Well, British Hurricane going to have their time at the defense. That's 2:34, 2:24 on the clock for them. If they have to go again, they want to not get to that point. They want to end it here for Team Gigantti. If they can full hold that A offense, it's really going to help keep that snowball moving, keep them rolling closer to that victory.
I like how Gigantti are opted to so far look towards going for the six-man dive, and we speak about that quite a lot in Europe, that teams are aware that there are some very, very good flankers in the form of Tracers more often than not. They just don't want to deal with that. They don't want to have to split their attacking force and defensive force, so they say, hey, let's send the supports in on this attack as well, and they send everyone in. Hurricane, though, curious to see what they choose to stick with, because we've seen some very creative defenses in the past where we've had things like a single support with the Mercy and have then a triple DPS set up around it, and teams like CIS Hope employed that incredibly well. Your boy Eng absolutely loves the Torbjorn on this map. I don't think we're going to see it out of Hurricane. It's not really their forte.
It's a love-hate relationship with Eng, I'm not going to lie to you, but something I am loving, Bocket's Ana. We talked about it. Jaws loves it. I think the entire desk does. He's going to pull it out on this defense. Most surprisingly, though, we see the Farah Mercy composition on defense from British Hurricane. We don't see a lot of that in Europe, especially from this team.
It's quite common to see the Ana and the Zen get stacked together because they can look after each other. They both rely on sightlines to do their work, so they're just a very, very good pairing to have. And Kid, like you say, haven't seen a whole ton of fire out of him over the season. Maybe now's his time to show us that actually he's more than just a Genji player, he's more than just a Junkrat player, that he's got more up the sleeve.
But that 6-man dive available for Team Gigantti, they're going to go straight to British Hurricane. You can't dive on something in the sky, so they go up, they immediately come back down. RCK having Lightning whittle him down immediately. A D-Neck straight away. And look where he has to go. Retreat inside while the rest of the fight is going on. The Rockets, they're coming down from above. Happy, he's now out of his mech, but I think he might be able to get away from this. No, Ripper hunts him down with Moira. Team Gigantti, they're on the point. They're the ones in control. British Hurricane are going on for a full retreat. It's on Kiv to lead the Vanguard and get them back onto this point. Couple of good rockets. He's been damage boosted, going to make him hit that much higher. Kiv has to retreat back around, help his team, as there's an angry monkey in his face. And now, still moving forward. Who is stalling it out for British Hurricane? RCK removes fusions. One less tank to stay on that point, keep the dream alive for them. The Resurrection bringing fusions back. Davin taking out Happy Cool. RCK also onto Craggy. British Hurricane, they're nearly on the brink of doing this and taking it back. 97% on that ult charge for Kib. Gonna try and get onto the backline dive. Biotic Grenade allowing no healing for Nil. British Hurricane still keeping them off and is somehow dislodged what looked like an immovable Team Gigantti.
This is just a constant skirmish where both teams are bringing respawning members back in, because those that are still in the fight are managing to survive for so long. Happy Cool and Craggy have been around this for so long on the Diva and the Tracer, but finally the dust settles and Hurricane come out victorious. But Gigantti don't go away empty-handed. They've got 2 ticks.
That's 66.6%. That's on that pie already for them will keep them very happy as they move through for their second offense. You can see Dalvin going for a sneaky route behind the back line. Sound barrier being dropped to kick things off. They're taking the fight immediately to the back line. Nil with that Genji, can't get any healing, heads to the skies, won't get a second kill. It's only Bocket who feels the blade. He's removed from the fight. He's getting peppered by rockets. A resurrection. I don't think he's going to be able to cut him down. A free resurrection on the Bocket to bring him back into the fight. Meanwhile, this is going on. Contention on the point. Barrage is available. Beaten up by the defense matrix. You don't do that in the face. Marsa getting a double kill. He's the one that finished it off as Nil cuts through Crusade. Team Gigantti. It may not have been the first attempt, but it will be the second.
It's really funny seeing Farahs play for so long, have that ultimate, and sit on it for a good minute or two. We saw it out of them Fix yesterday when they played on Horizon Una Colin. This is CIS Hope. Didn't use the ultimate once all round long, and you can see why there. As soon as Kid brings it out, you are a sitting duck. You are sat there in the middle of the air. Everyone can look at you. Divas can deny all of your damage, and you get melted out incredibly quickly. So a good stall by Hurricane, but ultimately Gigantti, they managed to get this payload moving as we head into the second stage.
It's so dangerous to do that against tank-heavy compositions. There's not quick kills. Craggy on the back line trying to get in between the supports and their back line, get some help from fusions as they dive. Kib moving forward to catch up with its fusion, taking out its opposite man. They're sleeping. Oh my god, Genji just being deleted after taking a nap. Bocket with the dead eye sleep dart to make sure that happens.
He's enjoying himself so far on the Ana in the second stage. Emily haven't been here for too long so far. Gigantti probably need to try and mix things up a bit here as well. They've gone over now. Ripper is back onto the Zenyatta, so they know they're going for this true full dive rather than 6-0 that we've been seeing them do for so long. But look at Hurricane. They are essentially pinning Gigantti into their spawn room.
That was very sneaky by Craggy. He looped all the way around, kept himself hidden, and tried to catch them as they were falling back into their spawn room. It's not worked out for British Hurricane as the kills are going over to Gigantti. Trying to push this payload. Again, Pulse Bomb in the middle. Just going to get the D-Mech onto RCK. Payload trying to get some distance, but it's not happening. Sound barrier being dropped. There's a blade from Nil going into the back line. No, he lets Soldier get away! Goes from the other side. Peekaboo! Cuts through him. Chows down on some kibble. And Team Gigantti are going to keep the payload in motion.
Game of hide and seek between the Genji and the Soldier there. It almost looked like he managed to make it away, but Nil double tricks him there in a sense. Got round behind him, brought him down. And like you say, Gigantti finally get on the move, but Hurricane held them there for so long. Looking at the time bank already, there's still a few seconds left. Of course, they haven't got the boost that comes out of catching that second point, but Hurricane will be happy with their delay so far. Here comes the Valkyrie from Crusades.
Valkyrie to kick things off. Craggy trying to keep up with Neil. The Transcends keeping everyone topped up. Kib very far back. Bionic Grenade, no healing, no support for him. Gonna call over the Valkyrie, keep him healed up. Attack Visor being used. The fight is in a confined space. Primal Rage popped out from LH Cloudy. Pulse Bomb eaten up straight away by RCK, and then he's gonna get gunned down for it. Team Gigantti rolling over British Hurricane. It's just Kib on the back line with his supports as he only can watch as the rest of his team gets rolled over. This is the final stage for Team Gigantti.
With a 45-second advantage, they've got to make this push a quick one if they want to match Hurricane's first time push. You've got to give a little nod there as well, I think, to the great play from RCK. That last second defense matrix, he has seen far too many Tracers charging into his face. He knew what was coming, blocked out the pulse bomb, and once Craggy disappears, Hurricane loses a certain edge, I feel. So if they can bring him down, this is Gigantti, suddenly the fights start looking a lot more favorable towards them.
Bok is changed over to the Ana. Nil has a Dragon Blade that he might be able to use here in the window of ult charge. A lot of attention from Craggy, forcing him very far back, waiting for the healers to come and support him. Fusions has been popping off while this is going on. British Hurricane, they've dislodged Team Gigantti from their own payload, and they can hold a very aggressive position now to stall out this time bank and potentially shut it down before completion.
This is what I wanted to see more out of Davin, is keeping Craggy busy. Even if you lose to him, you're stopping him getting onto your supports, preventing your attacks from coming in at full strength. You know, again, Davin, haven't really seen his name too much in the kill feed. It always seems to be Craggy being the one who's being the most aggressive. But Gigantti are managing to make it work so far, but now they have less time in the timeout than Hurricane. Every second here counts.
Neil can lead the charge with that sword waving and rally his team if he chooses to. Sound barrier to give him the extra. He jumps in with the Dragon Blade, cuts through both the supports, deflects the remaining damage, and a Goomba Stomp from LH Cloudy takes out Kib. Fusions tries to answer for it. The payload's being contested, but Team Gigantti are dominating the kill feed. They've got a couple more fights if they want to secure victory, because they've got a long way to go until it lands on that point.
Neil switched over to the Soldier for this final push away from the Genji, but look what they've got online in terms of ultimates. They've got that Transcendence. That is their big sticking point, and Bok will be looking to get his online as quickly as possible.
There's the replay, got that double blade cutting through them with the deflect. You can see LH Cloudy just has to follow up on that one. Now on the point, LH Cloudy with that primal rage gets slapped down. Happy Cool being the one to do that, sending it self-destruct back. Neil's been removed from the fight as well. Where is your damage for this engagement? If I'm Team Gigantti, I'm running away, but if I'm British Hurricane, I'm going on the hunt.
And on the hunt they go, only pushing them back so far though, Davin the final man to fall in this engagement. This is so reminiscent of their last matchup because it ended 3-2 in pretty much this exact same situation. Gigantti just couldn't muster enough strength to get the final push through. They've got 3 ultimates online, they're riding on Nil, getting that ultimate up before this game ends. However, he's still got 50% to go.
Kib still closer to it, 70% available. Pulse Bomb, Primal Rage, Transcendence. At least Team Gigantti has that combination available for them as well. They're diving straight into it. LH Cloudy sitting in his own team's Tranquility. As they move back onto the payload, they're trying to fight off Happy Cool. Have to back off because the reinforcements from British Hurricane are there. Bocket removes Craggy, but he trades him with the Pulse Bomb. A nice little see you later present for him as they get ready to fall back as British Hurricane taking the aggression to them with an unusual Transcendence to lead that in. Doesn't matter, Kib's there with the Helix rockets onto Neil. The time bank is whittling down. That's 14 seconds available for Team Gigantti. They need to get on this payload and they're trying to squeeze through British Hurricane. They're trying to make it as difficult as possible for them as Craggy rotates around to try and take out RCK's mech. Kib, he's up the side of the map for a Primal Rage, but the rest of British Hurricane are doing exactly what they need to do. Neil unable to come into this fight as British Hurricane shut them down. Gigantti will not complete Nambani, and British Hurricane go 2-0 in this best of 7.
Well, going into not even the half but the first break, that's a great situation for Hurricane to be in, and I've got to say I came in today thinking Gigantti, you've got something about you. We're going to see more of what we expect to see. We're going to see playoffs Gigantti as we have taken to calling them, but Hurricane, like the Storm, their namesake is coming after. They're just showing to us exactly why they are such a dominant force in EU and why they are favourites. The only Academy team showing us the strength of this roster.
And they put Gigantti back to their group stage position in terms of their capacity to pull out these results. Team Gigantti, they're going to have some time here ready to come back into this, into the latter half of this series, because British Hurricane, they're already halfway there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our analysts are going to break down the series so far.
They were the favorites coming into this, and they're proving why we called them that. British Hurricane are up 2 maps. It is a best of 7, so there's still a chance for the defending champions, Team Gigantti, to pull it back. But Hurricane looking extremely strong from the start. Actually, not so much from the start, now that I say that. On map number 1 on that first point, Gigantti set up the quad tank, rolled on right over British Hurricane, yet they seem to have an answer on the 3rd point.
Yeah, Gigantti were incredibly good at covering each other's backs with the quad tank on that shrine stage, and they were able to do so by shutting down all the flankers and making sure points of Ingress were always being attacked with poke damage, which there wasn't really enough healing from the side of British Hurricane to go through, and that meant they couldn't really win out a fight without having a long protracted issue where they had to remove all of these big beefy tanks from a point. When you're going up against a Moira, that's incredibly hard.
We talk a lot about, well, you gents specifically when you cast, talk a lot about Hurricane's map dominance on Village. Saw it again here.
Yeah, they just walked at them. There was no real if or buts about it. They were going to do it. If they take an advantage, if they take a lead, they're just going to walk straight past the point themselves on the other side of the map and just almost push them up to their spawn. We saw that when they were trying to build Shatter up, and Fusions was holding it like he should do, waiting for the next engagement, and they just forced them back, pushing and pressuring them. So when the respawns did come in, they were having to literally fight their way out of the spawn door, and then they had to then retake another fight on the entranceway.
When we go on to Numbani now, I have to ask Legday, did we love Kib's Genji?
We loved Kib's Genji.
Did we love his Pharah?
Yeah, I think we loved his Pharah too.
Okay, so Legday, did we love Kib?
I think we loved Kib.
Did you love Kib? There we go. I needed to get something out of you. Really impressive play from him across that map.
Yeah, it was incredibly impressive, and one of my favorite plays of his that didn't really amount to anything in the kill feed, but I thought was incredibly impressive, was his sacrificing of his Dragon Blade ultimate in order to try and trade out the Transcendence from Ripper on the Zenyatta. He decided to go in when he knew that the Transcendences were equal. Bucket has one as well as Ripper, and he knew that maybe he could try and force that one out by making it necessary by bringing in the Blade DPS. He did that, went it deep, dived into the back, forced out that Transcendence, and then his team had a Transcendence advantage to surge on forward. It didn't work out as well as they would have hoped when they did have the Transcendence advantage, but it was still a very intelligent play coming out from Kib.
When we take a look at the game and we were watching, we saw one of the player cameras, RCK, shouting at his team. You saw him on attack. Lots of communication going on there. Are they going to be able to pull this back for map number 3, Jaws?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what we said at the pre-game, right? These guys are full finish lineup, no communications issues whatsoever. I kind of want to hear at what point like he starts popping off, because as soon as it goes for an engagement, it's just like ramping up until he's like, actually, it seems like he's screaming at the rest of his team, and that really shows the level of dominance and communication, which is also important. And for a tank player as well, who's always on the front line, being that dominant force, calling the targets, that's what they're going to really have to muster up here, because a lot of the time we say Hurricane, their supportive line is a little bit weak sometimes, can be left high and dry. If they can take advantage of that, using that like dominant communication, we're going to see them be able to roll the next point.
British Hurricane is 2 maps up. This is a best of 7. They just need to do this again, and they've won the series. But Team Gigantti is the defending champs. They're not going to want to see this happen. Here we go. This is it. Map number 3. Hurricane wants to add another point to the board. We're going to take a quick reset, and when we return, you are about to find out who takes that 3rd map.
The damage available. And Moira has so much ability to be able to just get away from players like Linkser on the Tracer. Now getting very close, building up the ult, and there it is.
Oh, okay, the coalescence coming out here. Jae-Hong's just giving the Houston Outlaws a good hosing down. Oh, they're clean indeed. But that push from Soul was nothing but dirty.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Playoffs. We're here with the European finals between Team Gigantti and British Hurricane, and it's British Hurricane leading the series 2-0, and we're about to jump into the 3rd map, an Alvernia Planet. They can really get behind this map, because that's exactly what Horizon Lunar Colony looks like.
Absolutely does, and you know what it looked like last time? A 5-4 to British Hurricane. We went into the 3rd round of play to decide who the winner of that map was going to be. Wouldn't be too surprised if it went a similar kind of story today. And I think we saw the Hurricane guys in the break, they came back and had a little team talk, and they are over the moon, no pun intended, with how they're feeling right now. Your eyes tell the whole story.
Yeah, and
I love when you look at me like that. You look so lovingly.
Yeah, but I also look like I want to murder you to some capacity.
That's
you
true.
drop
That's true.
terrible, terrible puns like that.
So do you. It's why we work so well.
I guess it's one of the reasons, but less about us, more about the game itself. So Des, you were saying about how this went down last time. Why don't you enlighten some of the audience who weren't necessarily able to keep up with the European action?
Well, it's quite funny, like I say, it went down to being 5-4, but Hurricane ran essentially the same sort of thing that we just saw on Numbani. Bucket played that and that last time round too, to mixed effect, we should say. We saw a very tank-heavy competition coming out of Gigantti. Hurricane ran a 2-2-2 sort of standard sort of setup, and they got rolled over on their first point, but they learnt their lesson as the game went by. They started running triple tank with the Junkrat, and that's when things started going more into their favor. So I imagine, like we saw on the first map, we're going to see them learn from their prior mistakes. They're going to run it with a competition that works the first time round, rather than risking it all in such an important match.
Well, Horizon Lunar Colony, especially in Europe, is known to not be one of those ones that's a one-and-done map. So we could be here for a very long time, depending on the tempo of this matchup. But if we can bring ourselves back to map 1 of this series, if we can have that level of play from both teams on Horizon Lunar Colony, we're going to be here for a while. But if it's map 2, and the snowball is in full effect from British Hurricane, this might be quicker than we want it to be.
I mean, even on that last map, going 3-2 with just a few meters left for Gigantti to get it over the finish line, Hurricane did have a very big standout performance. Gigantti just couldn't quite get to the end, but they've still shown they can win fights against Hurricane, that they can still contend. It's called Contenders for a reason. And in their case, for Hurricane, they brought out some wacky stuff on this map before. I'm curious to see if they do mix it up or if they go back to, again, knowing what works.
Looking like triple tank Junkrat on the defense for Team Gigantti. It's something they're no stranger to. I'd say it's probably up there with its dive heart composition in the group stage. Triple tank Junk has been a staple for this roster.
I'd really like seeing Davin going back to the Zarya because his tracer so far today has been very quiet, and I think that in part comes down to Hurricane. They know what a threat is going to be. They'll have practiced, they'll have rehearsed exactly how this script is meant to play out for them. They know what they're expecting from him. And so far, it feels like Gigantti don't really have an answer to Craggy. So why not just switch away from that, go back to the tank-heavy compositions that have worked for you historically, and just drop the tracer. There's no need to have it here.
Will any of these teams push that panic button and go for the Slambulance on their offense? We saw Envision try it yesterday. I think EU, they're a little bit more stable with this one. The crowd is getting behind this series. I hope you are at home as well. Team Gigantti versus British Hurricane. Let's get it on Horizon.
Get the quad tank on. Get your tank on, boys and girls, because Hurricane are rolling out once again. The train is leaving the station. Whether or not Gigantti can stop it depends entirely on the size of the train, and we'll see just how much pain the Hurricane can bring. That's a really brilliant wrap as well. I love that. I didn't even intend it.
You're pleased as punch about that, aren't you?
I did not expect that to happen, but it was wonderful. Anyway, Hurricane has switched over, so Kib has gone onto the Junkrat. Now, we spoke about Nil versus Kib. We've seen Kib have these consistent higher highs than what we've seen come out of Nil. I don't know, this first point could be a real good stall, and a pick like that definitely starts the day off right.
Concussion Mine removing Crusade from the fight, and now they're just going to wait, build up some free charge for Craggy. He knows he's got the support from his team to just heal up if he mistimes that slightly and tank a little bit extra, but falling back, 80% charge. Building up the ult as well, a little bit ahead, a little bit behind Davin at the moment in terms of that. They're still trying to get themselves on, amp it up, move him through the corner. Another trap being stepped on. Reinhardt's there to protect the concussion mine, tries to go over, dislodges a couple of them. Here comes the Riptire, pull the cord, all aboard, we're going for a ride. Who's gonna be the victim? It's Fusions as he gets run down. And now British Hurricane, they're trying to hold the high ground, buy themselves some time to get that reinforcement. But Team Gigantti, they put their foot on the gas and they're not taking it up as they take him all the way back to the spawn area.
That was a very, very quick fight, and on Horizon Lunar Colony, it's not unusual to see fights last about a minute, so you get 4 pushes usually you're looking at in the first point, but that one was shut down incredibly quickly. Nil getting so much damage, and once Fusions was gone, Hurricane were like, right, that's it, time to back away, we don't want any more parts in this.
Trying the same route, going up over the stairs. This time they didn't walk into any traps until now. It was just destroyed, so they've been able to spot it out a little bit easier. Play at a level of Minesweeper to their compositions as the Coalescence is burning through. It's being traded across from Team Gigantti. They're forcing back Fusions. He's trying to assert his dominance. British Hurricane are rallying behind him as they're getting control of the point, and Kib, he's trying to find someone. A little bit of a hit and run. Removing that Junkrat from the fight makes the tank play so much easier for British Hurricane. They get control of point A, and they're looking to move it onto point B.
Hurricane's focus is impeccable because they ignore the fact that there is a Moira sat behind that big tanky front line of LH Cloudy, and they just burn him down. They out-heal or out-damage the heals coming out of the Moira, and once Gigantti lose LH Cloudy, that backbone just cracks and everything seems to fall apart, and Hurricane managed to get the wipe through. That's why Gigantti have won fights historically, and also in the first fight of this map, when they could prevent them from getting face-to-face with their tank line.
They nearly have the Zarya D.Va combination. The Big Bang is available for them with their ultimates. They need to play this right, and Fusions can follow up with the Earthshatter to buy some more time. There's a Riptide being used. It's Nil. He's steering it hopefully towards their victory. Fusions being the first victim. Nice and early pick, but it forces British Hurricane to waste that little bit of extra time.
I really like there how Davin didn't feel the need to rush forward and get the Graviton Surge down to match the tire. They knew that they needed only one target, and once again, it comes down to that big tanky front line of the Reinhardt. So once Fusions was gone, they were more than happy to just go, right, this fight is done. They will back away. Here comes the big combo.
Yeah, Graviton Surge is being traded. They're both locked up. Self-destruct is behind them. Earthshatter as the follow-up will keep them from being aggressed onto, and the sound barrier to reinforce the health. LH Cloudy throwing up the Flame Strike onto Fusions, and Team Gigantti using their barrier afterwards should keep them with that HP advantage as they push British Hurricane back again.
Gigantti burnt pretty much all of their ultimates to make that one work out for them, but Davin already at 55% towards his next grab. And this is something I think we've all noted about this guy, especially yesterday into today, is that the charge rate he gets on his ultimates, he's consistently 80 plus energy. I'd love to know what his average energy is in these games because he's always got those bubbles down at the right time. He's always got the grab online when it most counts. Question is, what can Hurricane do about it?
Good thing Neil got that pick because British Hurricane were coming into that engagement with a significant ultimate advantage, having held on to a couple of them and accrued a few more during that last engagement. But Team Gigantti, they threw everything at them. They've just got Ripper's Coalescence for now, but Neil not close, very close to that Riptire, along with the Graviton Surge from Davin. Craggy moving forward. He's got that personal shield. Hurricane looking to go around. The concussion mine wasn't able to pull them any targets they wanted as the Riptire goes forward, takes out LH Cloudy. So without the Reinhardt, maybe they're going to use the go button. They're on the point being hosed down by the Coalescence. And Nil taking a high route. He's going for a detour onto someone, but the personal barrier denies the kill. He'll take Crusade instead and a D-Mech for his troubles. Davin going to try and cut through the D-Mech D.Va. Nice little bit of a stagger coming out. Will only let them get so far before he pulls that right click. Or will he go for the left? He's going to cut through her instead. Sitting on that Graviton Surge, Gigantti push back Hurricane.
I like how they actually changed targets there, Nil. This is because they knew that once LH Cloudy was out of the fight, they didn't need to worry too much because once Fusions was down as well, there would have been no Ryan in the front line. But in their case, they thought, you know what? There is more value here potentially. They go for Crusade, they get happy, and once that mech is gone, well, we saw exactly what happened with the stagger. They knew that fight was being won.
It was fantastic play by Craggy to drop that personal shield onto Fusions to deny the kill, so Crusade was going to have to be the immediate target. They were running out of time. The engagement is happening right now. Bucket with that Coalescence, going to be fighting through them. They're all locked down. He cancels it. There's a self-destruct sequence there. Will be blocked up, but they answer with a Graviton Surge of their own. Pulls them together. No major set pieces being killed. There is an eaten Graviton Surge. Craggy sending it straight into RCK. Will deny that. And now Nil going to hide around the side. Gigantti do not want to give up point B.
This is one of Gigantti's most impressive defenses I think I've ever seen them do all season. They're holding back Hurricane again, the team who are 2-0 coming into the whole of EU Contenders as favourites. And so far they've rebuffed every single attack. It's been close in a couple of instances, but finally we're starting to see Gigantti find an answer. And their counter to ultimate stacks from Hurricane, it's actually starting to surpass what Hurricane we've seen out of them historically. They are very good at dealing with ultimate combos, but Gigantti are starting to change that around.
Here we go, Kib. He's going to take us for a ride. On a detour around the back, gonna go straight past RCK. Will get cut down this time around. Maybe Neil has a little bit more success. They're fighting through a lot of sustain. And he's going high. Will drop down low, bounces on the floor, burning some rubber. Will get D-Mech on the Happy, but Masa getting a kill onto Fusions. And they're just stalling out Happy even further. Team Gigantti keep pushing this line of defense further and further up as British Hurricane have to retreat more and more.
It's a lot of confidence coming out of the Gigantti side, and they're pretty much head-to-head, or they are head-to-head in terms of what compositions they're playing. but now you got to look at the ult stacks on either side. Not really much online for Gigantti, maybe looking towards Davin with that Hail Mary Graviton Surge to hold this next fight out, but Hurricane have got both support ultimates online, and the D.Va self-destruct isn't too far away.
They're changing their path of attack. They want to go in and mix it up. They're stuck in the middle of a Graviton Surge. Happy Cool gonna get a kill onto Nil. Kib takes out Master. They're missing some core components, but this is an assault map. The respawns can come in if they can just hold out, and Craggy doesn't want to let them do that. Huge ultimate from LH Cloudy, but unfortunately it's all for nothing as British Hurricane have asserted their position on the point. They just have to stem the flow of the drip feeding Team Gigantti, and I think they're in a great position to do that with a Graviton Surge from Craggy to lock it all out. British Hurricane complete Horizon Lunar Colony.
Well, who said anything about every grab surge having to be comboed with a big bang to make it work for your team? Even sometimes just stalling out the D.Va and preventing them from getting onto the point is enough. Props to Gigantti, held them out there for a good 3, 4, 5 minutes. Now we've got to see how it works out the other way around. Can Gigantti roll over Hurricane? Because, well, there's still time in the time bank, Tridd. There was not a lot in there last time around. This went to 5 and 4. We might be in it for the long haul.
38 seconds for British Hurricane if they have to do this again. So I'm not sure how it's going to work out for them if they have to go again. For Team Gigantti, they need to complete the map to even get to that point. And they're going up against British Hurricane, who did best them when we were in this map on the group stage.
So this comp, by the way, was exactly what Hurricane ran last time round, and they got rolled over pretty quickly, mind you. That was only for the first point. Second point, they actually managed to hold down for quite a long time, but Gigantti will probably be expecting this. And Hurricane mentioned there are a few things we haven't yet revealed. Who knows what we're going to see come out.
I really hope, and for Jaws' sake, I hope they commit to this May. They have run it before, not, like you said, to not great success. But if they can finally see how this is going to work out against Team Gigantti, if they bite, if they take the bait and go for it, is it a composition they're expecting Team Gigantti to run quad tank into? But if they're smart and do what CIS Hope did, send out a scouting party, they might adapt.
We did also see the May get pulled out at one point, and to be honest with you, Tank just sped around it. They just got themselves on the point, the wall came down, it was in the middle of the point, not really doing a whole lot. If nothing else, it was providing yet another shield for the quad tank composition. So there's always question marks around May and the effectiveness. However, like I said, they've had a lot of time to prepare. There's been 2 or 3 weeks since these teams would have last played. This is where they can bring out something surprising that may just put Gigantti on the edge.
Triple tank with the Genji for Team Gigantti. They're going on the offense. 4 minutes separates them between continuing this map or losing another and putting British Hurricane to series point, and they're going to take it round to the right and avoid the fight with the Hurricanes. They're blocked in, but a May wall, they're going to collapse into them, try and lock them in one place. They sustain through it. Nil, already on the half HP, deflects it out, gets the D-Mech onto Happy Cool and retreats behind Team Gigantti. That May wall was great for slowing the pace, but beyond that, it's done nothing. Bionic Grenade from Bucket, taking out Nil, gonna get a little bit cheerly with RCK as Craggy freezes them up, but he's gone already and back on the point to try and take it. With Craggy half HP, he's taken out by the sound barrier, or the sound blast, sorry, as Team Gigantti get onto the point awfully quickly, so this May still has question marks for Hurricane.
This is what I was concerned about, is that, again, May, a couple of walls. The first one was quite nice because it completely prevented the speed boost rotation coming out of Gigantti, but the follow-on ones didn't really provide too much to the team, and bar a freeze onto RCK, what else did he really do there?
They have 7 minutes to play with for this second offense. They have plenty of time if they even want to beat British Hurricane's remaining time back. Through the high ground, get a few picks. Nil hasn't got that blade. No ultimates online, apart from Kib's Tire and Bucket's Nano Boost. The Tire's going to keep riding around. Haftical gets a kill onto Cloudy. It's taken out by Master. He doesn't want to get run over today. Steps out of the way as Nil paying a lot of attention to Crusade. Won't get the kill. A kick to the head from Crusade sends him packing. And British Hurricane retain control and will not let the momentum carry over them.
What is it with Zenyatta players on Hurricane today? 1v1ing members of Gigantti quite consistently as well, you got to say. Gigantti, this is the big thing about these tank-heavy compositions, is once you get 2, 3, 4, 5 ultimates online, you have that combo potential. You're not reliant on one individual member. You can make a lot of things happen. It's almost like stacking together a bunch of combinations and seeing what works. And the answer is, most of the time, everything works.
Folding through the lab, trying to divide and conquer. The Graviton Surge holds the nano-boosted monkey together. The self-destruct from RCK takes out an asset they cannot afford to lose. Team Gigantti rolling over British Hurricane so much quicker than they can manage themselves. They've got control of the point. 1/3 down. Let's go for the second. They're almost on the third, and British Hurricane are running up the spawn room. Their Primal Rage to keep them all alive. A Sleep Dart might stagger them out a little bit longer, but they need to keep bodies on this point. Riptide coming up from Kip. It needs to be huge to keep British Hurricane in it, but the deterrence is enough to force them out. And British Hurricane are getting the kills they need to stop them when they're on the cusp of losing this map.
Finally managing to force it back, and Nil, bit of a Hail Mary switch over to the Doomfist there just to try and secure that point in the final dying seconds for them. Ultimately didn't pay off, and he will go back over to the Genji. I was worried for Hurricane for a second there because we said before they ran this comp in all of their last match. They essentially ran it their whole defensive round. They did pretty well first time round, but eventually said, right, we've got to go back over to the triple tank and Junkrat because it's all that seems to be the answer to this tank-heavy play out of Gigantti.
They're taking their time in their forward operating base for point B. Moving out, reaching, going onto the territory, but Craggy, he's running up behind him. He has a pulse bomb available. Nil, he's found Crusade, got revenge for last time. The pulse bomb takes out Davin. A reflection onto Bucket removes him from the fight, and now we're looking at Kim struggling to get out. He's just said he's had enough. He's going back to the spawn room. A dash through Craggy. Nil has stepped up his game in these playoffs. They're on the point. They're gonna finish, and God, they have so much more time than British Hurricane.
5 minutes to 1. 5 times the amount of time coming through for Gigantti. If there is any time they are going to take a map, it is going to be now. Hurricane, gotta say, this defensive comp, I like what they're doing. They're liking playing to their strengths in terms of putting Bucket onto the Ana and saying to Craggy, you play the Tracer here, we don't want you on that Zarya. But Gigantti, they have the answer, and it's worked so well for them. Gotta see Hurricane switch it up here, I think, and go back to what they know works, go for this triple tank style setup.
That 4-minute difference is the handicap from the previous matchup. 0-4, we'll give you 4 minutes. Let's see if that will make the difference for Team Gigantti, because it's not looking good for British Hurricane, and that snowball may have just been halted on Horizon. It might be the time for the turnaround of the defending champions to come back into this series, tie it up before we go to the next break, and then hopefully look for the win.
It's something we've mentioned a lot, both on the desk and on cast, is that Hurricane are a very momentum-driven team. When things are going well, we saw them during the break, and they were on top of the world. When things aren't looking so hot and that confidence falters a little bit, what happens? How do Gigantti capitalize on that? That is the big question in my eyes. Is yes, you might see that confidence starting to fall, but unless you can capitalize and start playing around it and using the advantage, and again, your own confidence comes up too, that's when you're starting to look to try and take maps away, and where Gigantti can find themselves back in this series.
Speaking of confidence, that crowd getting behind you is definitely going to be a boost for the LAN experience these players are feeling. Alvernia Planet wants to see more action. I know you guys at home do as well. As they move in, British Hurricane going for an offense. They've got to do it quick. They've already burnt through 10 seconds, but with a pool that small, that's so significant as they take the high ground. One setback here could be the decider for them. McKib opens up with a kill onto Master. Cloudy is separated from the rest of his team. He's not defending anyone as Happy runs through Cloudy and finishes it up. Nil tries to get the return onto Fusions as Happy Cool going down low. Someone's on the point already. I believe it's Craggy on the Zarya as they run that triple tank junk composition. They're locked in a room, but they're getting all the kills they want. That isolation effect is not working for Team Gigantti as they're being pushed off the point. 4 members there getting it in motion. Team Gigantti needs those reinforcements as they want to try and hold this out.
Nil's got the ultimate coming online as well, rolling in. They're going to push back in the point. Try and fight it back on here as well. Hurricane, this is do or die.
No, it's a double! Onto the support of British Hurricane. They're going to force them back, and while overtime is ticking down, Team Gigantti are burying deep. Kip getting the saving grace kill, but Craggy's been forced out. Overtime going to whittle down. There's no one left there to keep it alive. Team Gigantti going to shut down British Hurricane from taking this map any further.
If there was ever a time to see the highest high from Nil, it is there with that tire. Getting down both supports from British Hurricane just completely removes the foundations of that attack. And you knew they were in a panic. There's only had 60 seconds left on the clock, but they can't make it work. Gigantti now have 5 minutes to get a third of the first point. Don't want to speak too prematurely, but this feels like the kind of time where they can take a map.
But even if they do it still, if they were unable to do this, it ends with a tie. And it's still bad for Team Gigantti because they're now they're still 0-2 in the series. They need a win here to start bringing them back into it. A draw is ultimately better than a loss, but with 5 minutes at your disposal, you should be really winning this point.
What you got to consider too is that Gigantti picked this map. Now, Hurricane may have said we also would have gone to Horizon Lunar Colony, but that makes if they lose this, the next map is their pick and they can get things back on track once more. Last time around, Gigantti had 3 picks. Hurricane chose Nepal as the first. Gigantti got the next 3, and they still lost every single map. So we haven't yet seen Hurricane on their most comfortable maps, it feels, in some instances. Or maybe we did. Who knows? Maybe they would have gone for the same style of picks. The point is the same regardless. For Gigantti, this is their time to bring it back, and they need to do this now.
British Hurricane still going to stick with this craggy May strategy. It's not been successful for them. We might be missing the point of it, or they might be missing the mark. But if there was ever a time for this to work, it has to be now. Team Gigantti going to run that triple tank, Genji composition, and they're storming out the gate. They've spotted it. I think they know the May's coming. Where are they going to go with this? In the interior, falls into the May wall. Where's the follow-up? They isolated one. They're going to jump onto the target. That's what they were looking for. Davin gets removed, and they shut down the push as Kib follows up to take out the supports. That was the plan they were looking for from British Hurricane.
Finally, we at least get to see what the intent is in this case. Last time around it blocked everyone in, so there was no one to catch and dive on. But now you can see the real effect of this composition. You have the Winston and the Diva for the dive. Once one of the targets are isolated by May, you dive on them, you shut them down, and the whole attack has to reset. But Gigantti have more time on the clock so than you'd get in your first round push. So they're looking to make this work, and this time round, they failed to isolate a team member.
No picks, but the traps have held them up and locked them up even further. Kibs nearly got that tire, and while they're inside the lab by Hydroponics, they're so vulnerable to it in that confined space. But Kib nearly has it. They know exactly where Team Gigantti are. Pulls out the tire, going up high, taking a scenic route, immediately spends it on Nil, who was looking for a flank as British Hurricane looking to collapse onto Gigantti. The Coalescence looking for a hosing down. Might not be enough to sustain them through it, as a May will keep Craggy alive while he gets some sustain from Crusade. They're forcing them out, but Gigantti are on the point, trying to break through that shield with the right clicks from Craggy. And they're forcing him out even further, the wall to isolate them. He's going to have to back out with the ice block. British Hurricane, they're on the point, and Gigantti are going to have to find another way in as Nil. The deflect while he keep him alive for so long, dives up high, will get away. This fight is still being stagnated out. 5
ultimates online for British Hurricane. Out comes another tire from Kip.
But also the nano boosted Winston is there as well. The tire will only find Nil. Self-destruct is there. Can he outblast it? He can, but it's going to be Bucket who will fall down. The Blizzard is there on the point to keep no one from staying alive. British Hurricane still rolling forward him. Here's Davin with a highly charged Zarya, having to back out from the self-destruct. Craggy going for the ice block again. Still alive in this fight as Crusade might be left on his lonesome as he's on the point. There's Happy Cool to reinforce it.
Almost so close. Here comes the Blade.
Blade going up. He deflected as long as he could, but he's going to cut through Happy Cool and Crusade. Masa, Davin, they got the kills, the payload. The point is now in motion. They are accruing everything they need to do, and British Hurricane can't find it in. Just a little bit further for Team Gigantti, and they put this series to a 2-1 scoreline.
Response on their faces. They know there is still a mountain to climb ahead of them. One map will not win them this series, but it definitely puts them back into contention. It gets them back on the track, as it might be. Now, that was a pretty impressive performance overall by Gigantti. Some questionable comps, you might say, coming out of Hurricane in the defense. I'm sure they've got their reasons for it, but here Gigantti had the answer.
Gigantti had the answer. British Hurricane putting all their chips into that May composition, and we saw what the intent with it was, but pulling off that particular and singular play consistently seemed to be a problem for them. And really, you got to be looking at yourself and saying, if we can't do this right, maybe we should look for another composition. But Team Gigantti blown away by Nil's performance there in particular.
It's what we speak about quite a lot, actually, when we say this, is that for teams, you look sometimes towards the individual hero who has the big pick-off. You're looking for your Widow to pop off, your Tracer to pop off alone. In these tank-heavy compositions, you're looking for the combos, and that win condition was just so singular for me that if it goes wrong, as we saw in the second push, it all falls apart.
Well, Team Gigantti have made sure it's not going to be a clean sweep today. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to bring you map number 4. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe Playoffs. We're here in the final between Team Gigantti and British Hurricane, and the series is currently scored at 2-1 in Hurricane's favor after Team Gigantti came back on Horizon.
They did, and did so in convincing style, you might say, with 5 minutes left in the time bank after the first round. Definitely one of the stronger performances that we have seen on Horizon Lunar Colony. I was literally just about to say, last time we went to Dorado, but we know that Hurricane are not shy of Junkertown.
Junkertown seems to be one of the picks they are backing, especially in the group stage, and maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable on that than they did on Dorado. Not that it mattered in their previous matchup, because they did have that 4-0 scoreline, and it's nice to see that we're not going to have that clean sweep today.
Absolutely, and let's not forget, we've seen Davin play Orisa, and we spoke to him afterwards and went, Davin on Orisa? You played it for the whole of Dorado. What's going on there? And he was like, what can I say, man? I'm a pretty good Orisa. So actually, this probably plays into their favor just as well. They still prefer Dorado, it would seem, based on their previous picks. But Junkertown, again, it's not going to be a huge surprise to them. It's not something they can't play, and I would not be surprised to see them try and rock a very strange composition once again.
Well, we set sail with Captain Kenzie yesterday on Dorado. I have a feeling we might see a few more Pirates on Junkertown today. But British Hurricane, Team Gigantti, this is map 4, and they're ready to keep this series going.
Always interesting when you get to this point in the series, because you know it's going one way or the other. You know if it goes to 2-2, suddenly the slate is reset. We go into a best-of-3 for the final few. Hurricane take this map, they get themselves another breather, they get to go away and discuss things, maybe discuss why the third map didn't go their way, and then they can come out with a brand new plan. Already you can see the Orisa's being hovered. This is a very Orisa-favoured map, you might say. We often see double sniper coming through, especially on that first point, because it is so open.
I doubt British Hurricane will stick with the composition they have. They may still play it, but it just highlights the versatility of Haffy, because knowing Haffy, he probably could end up playing that Hanzo if he wanted to.
I think they might try and stick this. We know exactly how versatile and crazy this guy can be. And again, we've seen double sniper quite a lot coming out of both teams. As I said, more so in EU, we don't see tons of it. But then to be honest with you, we haven't really seen a whole ton of Junkertown. Teams really like Dorado, it seems here.
Yeah, well, they was heavily skewed in terms of picks. Team Gigantti, let's have a look at what their composition is. They're on the defense first. They're less likely to try and bamboozle us, shall we say. We've got Ripper on the Bastion, so they might be running this solo support composition and having Davin on that Orisa hold down the fort for them.
We see it on Numbani, we see it on Junkertown, we've seen it on a few maps in the past where you just roll the Mercy because of that rezzing power that they bring. And while Bastion, crowd are hyped for it, we're pretty hyped for it. We always love seeing what teams can do with this. Captain Kenzie yesterday rolled the first point completely, and Hurricane, they're like, you know what, we don't fancy the main door today, we'll go out the side door.
They're going out the side door, but they're also running the Slambulance. Immediately, they've been spotted out. You can see that Neil's hiding behind him with the Sombra. They're taking the fight straight to him. The charge was a little bit of a miss for them, and they've reinforced that Bastion. They're trying to keep the angle strong. Ripper with the D-Mech and the kill onto Crusade. They may have shut down this quad tank before it's even begun. They're still going to keep on fighting it. This kid gets that D-Mech onto RCK, but Team Gigantti very much in control of this. Still going low. Neil looking for a hack. Gets it onto Fusions. No more shield for you, and he dashes away, knowing that his work is done. They keep on fighting. Kib on the side with the double kill on that Roadhog, and the payload has been moving this entire time. David just needs to drop down, and it's on Crusade to finish it off. British Hurricane, despite the shaky start, have got control of this first point.
When we think of EU and Roadhog players, it's always Kenzie and Urki we speak about, but especially in the last couple of days, I've noticed Kib's Roadhog actually is a very key component of the competition they choose to run, and whilst often, and you can understand why they put him on something like the Junkrat, he's definitely showing up on Roadhog as well.
But now they're going to have to hold this high ground position. They may not be able to hold it against the composition that's coming out. They've got the Bastion play. Kib was allowed to just walk up behind him. Hello! And they're going to keep on fighting as the whole hog is available for him. They're trying to hack him, keep him out of the fight. Self-destruct from Team Gigantti will try and bring it back for them as they lead an assault against the oppressive payload.
The oppressive payload, or in this case, the oppressive Gigantti, as they manage to return them back. And to be honest with you, I didn't expect that to happen with the way Hurricane managed to roll through this with 4 ultimates still on side. It looked like the kind of fight they can win, but it feels also maybe they've just said, look, we've got all these ultimates online, we don't need to force this fight and risk losing it. Let's reset and go back in with another full push.
and they're going to keep on going onto the fight. Now that they know where the payload is, they can take an alternative route. They don't necessarily need to go the most direct, but Kib's been hacked out already. That whole hog throws a hook blind, thinking he might be able to hook that stealthing Sombra. Take a breather, now available for him. You can see the gunner nest locking them up. The Graviton Surge tries to pull it all together as a self-destruct goes into the air. Fusions, he's a madman with 2 kills and a D-Mech to his name at Ripper, being left alone without a shield. Why aren't you capitalizing on this? They send Happy into his face to gun him down. They've done just that, and they keep that payload in motion onto the second phase of Junkertown.
It's always the problem when you give so many resources over to keeping a Bastion in places. You need a healer there, you need a shield-based tank there. Half your roster is dedicated to keeping him alive, meaning you can't contest the point as freely as you might like, unless, of course, that ultimate is online and you can pop into the tank formation and start blowing fools apart. But in this case, Gigantti has said no more of that. We're going to switch over to a more standard setup.
Taking the fight to him, advancing beyond the payload. There's Nil with an EMP, gonna turn off the lights as the self-destruct goes up and over. We'll only find Bokken as Davin cuts through the rest. A D-Mech, Happy Cool, not gonna be able to answer on his own as Craggy with nearly 100 charge, trying to cut through his opponent. But there, the personal shield will keep him topped up. But it's Team Gigantti pushing British Hurricane back yet again.
What do you want to see? We saw it a lot on the last map too. On Horizon Lunar Colony, pushing them back and keeping Hurricane at bay was a big winning factor for Gigantti. This time round, they're doing more of the same. Bastion didn't strictly work out as well for them as they would have liked. Hurricane, I don't want to say they've lost their edge almost, but it's definitely looking a bit harder for them to win these fights. Maybe Gigantti are starting to wake up, they're starting to smell victory or the possibility of it, and are starting to play to the team we expect.
Here's a big grab from Craggy to hold them all together. Self-destruct trying to scatter out the fight. Won't find any big for that bang. An Earth Shatter locking down multiple members as it's Cloudy takes out his opposing man. Master Nil following up with the kills, and Ripper's even there for show as well. British Hurricane really struggling to get control of this payload again.
Ripper's coalescence there was the defining factor in winning that fight. In Hurricane, we usually see great ult stacks out of those guys, but once the grab came down, there wasn't a huge amount of follow-up damage to keep the team alive almost. Gigantti walked away with that with 2 ultimates still intact. They've now got the EMP back online, so this next fight should also be theirs.
2 minutes 10 on the clock for British Hurricane. A lot of that initial time back burnt down. Here they go, using the amp it up to try and take an alternative route. They're just peering around that corner, trying to gauge what's going on and what they're going to come up against. Custom mine up high, transponder gonna throw him up, doesn't get the ledge, but the EMP was there. Cloudy from the side with Davin, the tanks from Gigantti, they've capitalized on that window opened up by Nil, and Davin still sitting on that Graviton Surge. It's unnecessary. They've got British Hurricane read like a book.
And with 4 ultimates online, 1 ultimate used to clear them out. And we speak about these 2 teams, I think every single time we've cast them, we have said one of the big defining factors between them and the other teams they play against is ult management. They never overcommit ultimates. We saw it a bit in the first map of the day, shaking off those initial nerves, knowing what a big game this is, but so far impeccable defense coming out of Gigantti.
Now they retreat back to the payload with 1 minute 20 on the clock. They throw down the Graviton Surge. The Primal Bubble is there to protect them. Self-destruct goes up high. Still manages to find Craggy as British Hurricane have changed up this composition a little bit more. But Davin, yet again with that double kill. Kib with the concussive mine onto Ripper, and Davin up high. Still raining down the volleys with those right clicks from Zarya. And the clock keeps going down into the sub 1 minute. Here's Nil. He's in the background trying to get him down with that machine pistol. No hack available for them because they were aware. But with 50 seconds on the clock for British Hurricane, it's not looking like they may even complete Junkertown.
Gigantti have been orchestrating this play. It feels like the EMP isn't far away. They've got 2 ultimates online, but here comes the tide from Kib.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. And speaking of sound, that barrier's been dropped to keep him up. Nil's nearly got that EMP. No kill to be found just yet. Earth Shatter, but blocked out by the bubble shield. RCK taking out Crusade. No more healing for him. EMP onto the back line. Where is the follow-up from Team Gigantti as Kib and Craggy have shut down Sombra and Reinhardt, and they're keeping on the pressure. Craggy coming back at them. British Hurricane, they don't want to be pushed back again. They know the pressure is on from the side. Ripper with the double kill to the exposed Diva and the Tracer, and they keep the pressure going. They're going to have to do this in overtime, and Team Gigantti have got time for 1 more defense on this point if they choose to even take it.
Hurricane have got 5 ultimates online, that they've got so many tools to make sure they get to the end and can go for the push onto this 3rd point. But here come Gigantti with the coalescence.
Bursting out the gates, the self-destruct is available for RCK. Can he have one of his patented multi-kills? The pulse bomb on the floor will separate the fight a little bit more. The sound barrier has already been used. Graviton Surge to hold him in. They're sending a Hail Mary out to try and keep him in the game. Only finds Crusade, but Cloudy and Ripper, they're following up with kills onto the back line. Craggy and Kib, they're doing all the work they need to as well. British Hurricane looks like they have control. They're stalling out even further. Massa with the sound barrier, the speed boost, but Kib is gonna blow them. He can't outrun an explosive. In overtime, British Hurricane keep the Junkertown dream alive.
It's so unusual to see the surviving 2 members of a team be the DPS. They had the Tracer and the Junkrat left because Massar managed to bring down fusions, but however, not going to be enough for them, and Hurricane do manage to make it to that 3rd point. At least Gigantti are rewarded somewhat for their stall, mind you, because there is only 1 minute and 10 seconds left for Hurricane to make this work.
Bucket, he's the Terminator. He takes Nil out of the sky on that Genji. They've mixed it up a little bit further as Fusion's going to making a kill to his name. Ellis Cloudy taking out Kib, and so Happy Cool's going to do the same. Davin just spraying at a distance, dashing around the corner. Needs some more sustain from his allies. It's Happy just peering around the corner with the defense matrix. He knows he's a little bit safer than everyone else.
Just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Always at risk. And the risk of losing this point potentially for Gigantti, they would feel heartbroken if they give over all 3 points to Hurricane here. They still go in with a favourable time, you might say. Time bank will most definitely be empty for Hurricane, but Gigantti have got to win one of these final fights.
Bucket having to force out the Transcendence possibly early here, and Nil, he's so close to that blade. He has that information. He can dash in here. Self-destruct being sent to the back line. You can hear the screaming as Cloudy gets a Goomba stop, cutting through the corridor, only finds the one, and it's Cloudy as Happy turns it back around. Crusade, Kib on DPS of their own, leading the charge, keeping the payload going, because they just have to take out RCK, and their brakes will be taken off. They're going to have to do this in overtime, much like the 2nd point.
Nil switching over to the Sombra as well, just aware that he's going to get a blade back online in time, but maybe, just maybe, he gets a crucial hack off which wins in this final fight. But Hurricane have completely turned the tables. They've got the ultimates online. Kib is not far away from having that ultimate, but Ripper has the Transcendence.
They've got control of the health packs in the area. Craggy's got that pulse bomb. He's looking for a tasty support to send them a parting gift. You see him dive in. Sound barrier from British Hurricane keeps him alive. Kib going up high. The Transcendence has been used. Kib's about to do what Nil should have done last time. Use that blade. Get some kills. Here we go. He's diving deep. Bangs out, but there's no. They've been blunted as he doesn't find a single kill, and he's forced back. The overtime still ticking down. Happy Cool picking up the slack. Getting a kill as RCK stops that from happening any further with the D-Mech. Team Gigantti, they're out in force on the payload, keeping them back. Ripper on the Crusade. They've left the point. British Hurricane, just like their namesake team, have left that point and ended their Junkertown ride early.
Now, we're in that situation where this is essentially a reverse of what we see on Numbani. Both times these teams have played 3-2, with Gigantti being a few meters away. Hurricane have just failed to complete by a few meters. Gigantti, they are now the ones in the driving seat. They can shape their own destiny here. They can take this to 2-2 and essentially force us into a best of 3. But Hurricane will be doing all they can to try and stop them. And if they can do so, they go into match point.
Team Gigantti looking for the reset. They just have to complete Junkertown and they will get just that. Wipe the slate clean, take it to a best of 3 to decide who will be the European champions. Their offense on this map will be so critical because they do not want to be at series point when we come in for that 5th map.
Hurricane rolling out the gates with that tried and tested quad tank. We see it all the time, just trying to force themselves into a space on the map and say, we refuse to be moved. Gigantti, really curious to see what they tried to opt with here. We speak a lot about that double sniper-based composition. We see the triple tank coming through sometimes with the Junkrat. We even see the full-on pirate ship, as we nearly saw. Trying to send Hurricane to Davin Jones' locker would be the ideal scenario for them here. But they're going to opt instead to go towards the Orisa with the Roadhog. That, to me, ball and chain. We speak about it all the time. It's great at getting those big picks.
And Nil, he's hovering over that bastion. They might want to do it again. But look how sneaky British Hurricane are being. They're ready to pop around that corner and get themselves a sneaky little dismount before they can set any of their plans up.
Curious enough to try and mix things around. You with the crowd on this one? You want to clap too?
I don't want to clap on this one because I'm letting them do all the energy for me. Team Gigantti rolling out the gates, looking to tie out this series, and here they go for the setup. I think they're aware of what British Hurricane want to do. They're still hiding around the corner. Who will go first? When will they send this slam unit into the Bastion? They're doing it right now. Can they dislodge him? He's being kept alive. Nil has already got one. Craggy, he's felt the rain of bullets. It's Cloudy, done a second, but it's Pocket who shuts it down, gets the D-Mech while that was going on. Master, as you'd expect, brings it back into the fray. They reset the Bastion. They cannot get this package dislodged, and Tank Form is ready for them on that next engagement.
Hurricane tried their utmost to get them off the point, and ironically, all they've done, again, by being this quad tank-based composition, is give loads of ult over to Gigantti. They've got 4 online. This is going to be a hard stop.
The pirate ship, we're setting sail with Captain Nil and British Hurricane. They want to remove the scourge of the seas. They're going straight onto the Bastion again. They take him out, but the resurrection could be there if they just get enough. Self-destruct drops from the sky. No one to be found. Bastion has been removed from the fight, so they might get control of this payload because Team Gigantti are struggling. They're closer and closer to the edge, but they're pushing back. They don't want to be dislodged. A fatty shatty from LH Cloudy and a charge to follow up. There's the kills to his names, and Craggy feels that burn. Happy Cool taking out his opposing man. Cloudy being forced back. There's an Earth Shatter from Fusions, and they're going to keep on fighting. The sound barrier's there. Kip pulls him in close, wants to get the kill. The spin around from LH Cloudy will not keep him alive. British Hurricane shut down the push from Team Gigantti.
Using quite a lot of ults in it, they've still got 2 online, the fight's still carrying on, and finally they catch out Davin, but here comes the tank formation.
Tank form heading into the quad tank, gonna get that D-Mech and the kill. Moves around from the self-destruct, has to shred through the shield from Reinhardt, can't do it. Goes into the sentry turret form, looking to get burned through that tanky lineup yet again. The Coalescence reinforcing him. He's got a Mercy to help him out as well. They want to get him set back up on his ship at the helm of the caveat of the ship. And they're going on. Davin gonna burn through it. This quad tank looking to go, but Nil's picked up the double onto Fusions and Bucket. Kib will answer it. The resurrection from Master. They will not let Captain Nil down. They're going to keep it moving. So close to victory. Someone's contesting it. It's Happy Cool in the Diva, but once he's been D-Maxed, it's fine for Ripper to kill. The payload's in motion, and Team Gigantti are moving on to the second phase of this map.
I'd love to see if they choose to stick by this and go all the way. I like how they adapted on the fly almost and said to Davin, time to go on Zarya, we think here. We need more shields to keep this guy alive, and we've got Cloudy in the front line to provide the stern of the ship, you might say. They're going to stick with it for now. They've nearly got that tank formation online once again, and with the Shadow available, why not?
Well, Kibbs hammers some changes of his own on British Hurricane. They're going for the dive on this one. There's the tank form. You heard the whistling. Who's going to be the first one to be the victim? They actually shred through him with a Discord orb, and Kibbs shurikens to do the trick. The self-destruct going deep to the back. Kibbs removed from the fight. Team Gigantti with the rest of the damage as they resurrect and bring the captain back alive and back on board and get the payload to keep on setting sail down these seas.
Down these streets, in this case, the streets of Junkertown, looking very blue right now for Gigantti, just charging their way through. Nothing really to contend in. The full dive option coming out of Hurricane. I understand the intent. They want to get in there, they want to cause chaos, but they are struggling to coordinate a way to keep this Bastion down.
They're going to lock British Hurricane in their spawn. Craggy can try and dance around as much as he wants, but there's nowhere for him to go. Rocket's got the Transcendence. Hopefully will damage through and heal through the damage coming out. They're all locked in. Pulse bomb from Craggy onto Nil. Takes him out. The resurrection coming in from Master. He manages to get it off. There's the dash from Kib. Just a second too late to stop the resurrection, but he's going for the kill as he cuts him down with the self-destruct. Ripper feels the blade as well, and Kib is dancing around this fight.
Gigantti now choosing to opt for the change themselves. They're going to go across the full dive. Davin will go across the Tracer, and they will essentially match British Hurricane. And we said at the start of this broadcast, if you are going to see any two teams that play full dive in Europe, it's going to be these two teams. In fact, I believe they played dive more in their last matchup than they did go for the kind of standard triple quad tank setup that we often see coming out of European teams.
The high ground's been taken by Team Gigantti. They're sending the self-destruct further back. A double kill for RCK as the supports from British Hurricane have been removed, and now they want to aggress on their advantage. Happy Cool trying to level the playing field with a kill onto Cloudy. Davin on this Tracer now, looking to get back onto what we know him for. He's already got a D-Mech onto Happy, wants to get the pistol whip to get the kill. Team Gigantti, they're taking this to the final stage of this map.
Question is, can they get as far as Hurricane have? And I was worried when I saw the full dive comp come out of Gigantti. We've already said a few times today, Davin just does not stack up against Craggy.
Oh, with 1 HP, he shuts down Kib. He's not going to be outshined by this Genji.
That's what you want to see. And again, for these guys, there was question marks in the first couple of maps around how their DPS stack up against Hurricane. But Gigantti, I don't know what happened in that break we had earlier, but clearly they had some stern words. They had a good motivational talk amongst the team and said, guys, it's now or never. We've got to step up, because they are most definitely stepping up.
2 minutes 30 on this clock for them. They just need to reach that yellow ticker and they will tie out this series. British Hurricane, they have plenty of time to stall it out. Davin waiting for that Transcendence to go before he even thinks about the pulse bomb, but he's dipping around while this is going on. Happy kill. They're getting kills. Craggy gets the D-Mech. Davin, he's out of the fight. He knows he's going to have to retreat, and Team Gigantti go for a full reset.
Understandably so. They've got a bit of time here, 2 minutes to play with, and they don't even have to complete the map. They can take their time with this and play it sensibly. What better way to play sensibly than to wait for all 6 ultimates to be online? They're about 20% away on their main tank, on Masara as well, before they can go for one of those big combos that we are so used to seeing out of these compositions.
We're sub 2 minutes. Kib has that Dragon Blade, and there's no Transcendence from there's no Transcendence available from British Hurricane to reinforce it. Neil goes and his own finds Bucket already. Gets a second slash on the Crusade. That's 2 kills so far. Will not find the third, but RCK is going to follow on from the kill feed. Now Nil, Rowdy healing, going to dash away from Kib. They're going for the Samurai Showdown again, and they're not able to connect the blades. Davin getting kills in the meanwhile, and the payload keeps moving closer to a tied series.
And they've got that Transcendence. Bok doesn't yet have his, but they do have 3 ultimates. They've got the stall that comes out of the Primal Rage from Fusions on that Winston, but they're looking towards these support ultimates because that is their best way of being able to deny Gigantti the opportunity to dive in and flat out destroy their backline.
Davin nearly taking out the support, but it's Cloudy gives a haymaker to Bucket and knocks him for 6. Davin with that pulse bomb, whittling them down. He stepped up his tracing game over the series. RCK removes Fusion. He ran into Craggy. I don't know if he wants that duel just yet. He's got a pulse bomb in his pocket, but he's turned the tide. Sound barrier coming out to keep British Hurricane alive, but RCK's already moved Craggy from the fight. They're so close. They're on the cusp of victory, and British Hurricane are dashing into the backline.
Oh, the
pulse bomb is there, but the self-destructs are trade. There's a 2-for-1 in favor of British Hurricane. They're wanting to dislodge Team Gigantti, get control of this payload as we move into the final 30 seconds of this map. And Craggy, he's doing so much work on these tanks. Bucket having a little bit of supportal combat with Master, and he gets the exposed Diva and finishes him off. Team Gigantti, with about 20 seconds left, need to get this final push.
They need to go now as well. With only 15 seconds on the clock, this is their final opportunity to even the scoreline out, or they find themselves at match point, Tridd.
Here we go. 5 seconds. Someone needs to go solo and get onto that point. I don't think they can all get there in time. Who's going to touch? First of all, it's RCK. He's being focused. You can see Nil. He's not with the rest of the team. He's going to the back line. He wants Bucket. Dashes back. Deflects the orb of destruction. Gets the kill. But while that's been going on, the tank line has been dismantled by British Hurricane. The Transcendence is there. Nil. They're being kept alive. But the monkey is pushing him back. Goes for a deep flank. Finds the support. Crusade has been removed. Who's going to keep British Hurricane alive? Is that a problem for them? Kib taking out Ripper. Fusions finally shuts down Nil. He's jumped up high. They're still clashing on the point. The Primal Rage is available for Team Gigantti, but Fusions has to retreat. He's gunned down by RCK. And now Davin, with that pulse bomb available, he's thrown out. He's going to miss it. Sound barrier for British Hurricane. It's answered by Team Gigantti. The reinforcements are here. Self-destruct available on that point to move them all away. It dismantles them. No one dies. RCK takes out Blade. Nil takes out Bok. The blade from Kib finds Master. Will get shut down by Ripper on this soldier as Nil going to cut down Crusade. Fusion gets a D-Mech onto RCK. So close to victory. They're in overtime. No one's on the point. Team Gigantti are going to level out this series.
2-2 going into this next break. You would not have written this down given those first 2 maps that we saw Hurricane take away. Tridd, we have got a series on our hands.
And I'm so happy with that. You know my opinion on this. It has to go to Game 7 for this to do the series and the matchup justice.
And of course, next map comes back down to Control. It was pretty balanced, pretty even in the first round. Hurricane taking the slight advantage, did bring it across to them 2-1. Tridd, honestly, it's so hard to call what's going to happen next.
I said this coming in. People were coming up to me around the venue and asking, who do you think is going to do it? The North American cast, ZP and Jameson. They're asking the question, who do you think is going to win Europe? And I was like, I honestly could not tell you who's going to pull this one out because of just the sheer performance of Team Gigantti in the playoff run and how it was a stark contrast to their groups. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our analysts are going to break down the second stage of this series.